I'm Sergej Možina. I'm the Slovenian science attaché and the EU R&I policy geek. I've done it for too many years already here in Brussels. Now, I was asked to give my view on the fifth freedom concept. We have so many synonyms for the same concept. Sometimes we call this concept the fifth freedom. Sometimes the European Research Area, and some lately have been calling it an R&I Union. But at the end, what I think all these fancy concepts come down to is the same very simple objective. And this objective very clearly is to achieve an environment, a situation in which researchers, knowledge, and technology would circulate freely. And that, I'm sure, sounds very familiar, because this obviously is enshrined in the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union, the famous Article 179 for other geeks out there. So basically, it's our constitutional responsibility to realize this environment where researchers' knowledge and technology circulate freely. What to put into this environment? Now, I don't want to imagine this alone. What I hope to be would be a part of a larger movement or a larger community of everyone, of policymakers, of universities, research institutes, funders, research infrastructures, businesses, individual researchers and innovators who would together co-create this, what the fifth freedom should be, how this environment should look like. Because what researchers actually need is, in fact, the four freedoms. They need the freedom of free movement of goods, services, capital, and people, because knowledge could then, and researchers as people, could then circulate freely. But obviously, this is not optimal at the moment. So I think we've done a lot of work in realizing the four freedoms, and I think it's now time to kick into a higher gear and realize the fifth freedom. You've seen the idea of creating something similar for businesses, for scale-ups and startups. The current new commission calling it the 28th regime. So if we can create it for businesses, I'm sure we can and we should create it for researchers, knowledge, and technology alike. We have a few elements already of this. We have the framework program, we have the joint undertakings, and we have the ethic regulation. There's a lot of soft elements only in place. What we have is, for example, we have the competence framework for researchers, but it's soft, it's voluntary to adopt, and it should stay this way. But there should be a better way to roll out this competence framework, which would be the same in all Europe. Then I think what we would need as well would be maybe some labor rights also in the new specialized framework to be used by researchers. For example, I can think of interoperability of work permits, or maybe some taxation elements and pensions, obviously. And then also the intellectual property regime. It's also quite fragmented, quite different across Europe. But if you want to be more serious on knowledge valorization, it would help if we had a common view on all the intellectual property management across Europe. And another thing that comes to mind is actually open access as well, open access to knowledge and to data. And what comes to my mind there is something from the report of Enrico Letta. He wanted to establish a European knowledge commons, which I think was something like a centralized digital platform for access to all the research and all the data sets that were publicly funded, and educational resources as well. So currently, if you look at our landscape, we only have clusters of some unconnected projects. We need some sort of a framework to pool the investments of member states. Now, again, we do have some good examples. We do have research infrastructures. We did very well doing this using the ERIC regulation and the S3 forum. We do have the Euro HPC example. We have chips, but what we need is some sort of an investment framework where member states and the Commission could develop a strategy for shared projects. like the tripartite partnership. In short, I see there's a big opportunity we have now with the fifth freedom concept being in fashion, in need, actually. I think we can make the EU the most attractive place, not just to live in, that already it is, but also to work in. So we have an opportunity to reverse the brain drain, all these talents leaving the European Union to other places. And we have the opportunity to put our knowledge to use by the society, by policy, and by industry. Because I think we've reached really a ceiling of our excellence, of our competitiveness in a fragmented ecosystem that we have right now. We're still in the lead in research and innovation, but we won't be for much longer if we don't pool our efforts and all our capacities and competences together. So we need to understand that diversity that we have in Europe is actually our strength. Bottom line, I think, is also that we can't do this alone, but we need to engage with the stakeholders and everyone who has a knowledge on how to do this.